And thank you so much for being here. Okay, got that. All right. So just a quick reminder that for the sake of GDPR, that this gathering is being live streamed to YouTube. So we might take some screenshots and do some sharing. So if you do not want to have your likeness on camera, feel free to turn your camera off. Of course, we do encourage you to turn your camera on so we can all participate and have a much more interactive experience and connect better than just working through audio. All that said, welcome to our first gallery opening. And this is a retrospective on the things that we have co-created together in the last year. And it's really more time to reflect on what is possible in the virtual world. So we're going to just show you some items that I've selected and curated. So I'll give you a quick gallery walkthrough, and then we're going to ask you to jump into Mural and share one or more things that you have created, in Wednesday Book Web Jam, inspired by Wednesday Web Jam, or elsewhere in the digital world, and share it on the mural, and then we will add that to that gallery. So we're thinking of making this gallery an ongoing living space where we collect some of these interesting co-creations that help us think about what is possible in the virtual world. So that said, when I just release the screen here, just 1 second. So that said, I'm going to do a live walkthrough of the gallery, but I'm also going to drop a link in the Zoom chat. So you can also just have the option of jumping in and poking around for yourself and maybe figure out how to navigate this gallery. Just to give you some clues, if you want to navigate the gallery, you can use the arrows or your keyboard, or you can also double click on the floor and it will move you forward and back. I think our friend Brett's going to be probably the least zero learning curve to get around in the virtual gallery, but for all of us, including myself and Anupa, who actually set this gallery up, we're still getting our sea legs as to how to navigate this gallery.
Yes, it's still work in progress.
It's still a work in progress. Okay, friends. So I am going to share my screen once again and start a brief tour, and then we get into the interactive and discussion part of our time together today. All right. So welcome to the gallery. This is a 3D space, actually. So this is Art Steps. Anupa, do you just want to say a couple of words about different options that you looked at and how you landed on this one?
So the thing is that I wanted, when Ezekiel had this whole idea about the gallery, we were thinking what we would do, and it was a way that we could, reflect back. And when we thought of a gallery, we actually wanted to be together with you all. So since that is not possible, so the best option was to create a space where we could virtually meet together. There are many options. This is just a very basic way of, connecting each other on a virtual space, where we upload our selected visuals, and then we add the text, and then we want you to actually feel like you're walking through and seeing what we've been creating, sharing, and coming up with. So that's a basic brief.
So this gallery, aside from being a moment for us for reflection and conversation, it's also a little bit of an experiment into VR. So here we have the very first piece that I picked for this is actually the very first video on our Wednesday Web Jam YouTube channel, and this is Mark sharing a few thoughts. Let's see if it loads, and let's see if we get audio.
Okay, we're live.
Audio?
Backstage at the circus.
Are we live?
We're live.
Wonderful.
And I'm the only one who dressed up as a clown. You guys need to up your game.
There we go.
So can I ask both of you to just one question? Why do we have this channel, Mark? Why do we have this channel?
It's a place for us to play around and see who comes and wants to play with us, and figure out if what we're imagining for the future of the world is interesting to the rest of the world. I guess. I don't know.
Okay, Pedro, why do we have this channel?
I need to learn how to do some video and prototyping around that, and I really want to communicate in a different format. Let's see if I can actually do it. We need to force ourselves to do it. This is not the kind of thing you do willingly, so we need to stretch out of the comfort zone. So here I am trying to do it.
How about you, Arne?
Well, I think it's, I really like improv, and I think it's important to kind of sometimes just teach yourself to improvise, because if you improvise, you have to stop thinking, and you have to kind of stop trying to make everything perfect. So let it be crappy, but let it be genuine, and let it be something that we kind of like. It's about real stuff, and I'm so hungry for real things and real world experiences and realness, if that's a word, right? And instead of all the polished, whatever sales and consultancy stuff.
Yeah.
So this is the backstage. I like that, and I'm really curious what we are going to do with it.
I'm interested in what
Did you rehearse that? Did you rehearse that beautiful speech?
Yeah, we had a call before this. So.
Oh, sorry, you didn't get the script?
Oh my goodness.
Oh man, see?
Man. Okay.
Okay,
Oh.
so let's say goodbye to everybody.
All right.
And that'll be our first video.
Woo! Oh goodness.
And so that was the first video, and this is March of last year. We don't have a lot of media, but I did want to just show this video is about just a little bit of over a minute long. Let me see. Let me try to see. This is the challenges in navigating. Okay, now I want to be over here and do this and back up. All right. So this is us. This is just a quick video, and this is just gives you a little bit of flavor of us trying to figure out how to be online.
We're going live?
Not yet.
What's the Zoom YouTube thing doing?
Yeah, it's going live.
What does that mean? I just not used to that.
YouTube live.
It's transmitting on YouTube. That's all.
So people can just look at it on YouTube?
Yeah.
Yep. They're seeing.
But they can't, can they interact on YouTube or no?
No. No, they're just watching TV at that point.
Okay.
It's live now.
All this technology. So people can just.
And so that gives you a little bit of a flavor of us starting to learn how to be online and open up this space together. And yeah, I titled this piece "All This Technology" because that is like an inside joke here with the crew. So so quickly we started to do transition from the more I think conventional approach of sharing PowerPoint or digital slides online or on a Zoom, and we started to use paper as a way to add texture and give flexibility to like create images and communicate in different ways. So this is just a moment out of Wednesday Web Jam number 5, hosted by Yan Yan. So this is, let's see if we can, oh, I'm sorry, April of 2020. So this is where we started to like get a feel of how we can interact differently online and not just be bound by digital tools. And I see Dave right here, who I think is with us today. Hi, Dave. Dave, an early supporter. So in that same session, participants co-created this gamification postcard which is about how to be playful, how to add play and more joy and fun to our work. So how to gamify our work in some sense. All right. So moving right along here. In that same web jam, we were also experimenting and learning about keeping things tactile. So here we see Yan Yan had shipped a package to Arna, whose hands you see here. And part of the interaction was to get Arna to like roll some dice and like pick some figurines that you can see right over here. And so using this construction of like paper and handmade things and sharing that experience on camera. So again, that was April of last year. And soon after that, Yan Yan also made this illustration where she's right here. And I call this piece like +1 because that was the first outside volunteer from the core crew who wanted to join, which was Yan Yan. Thought that was a really cool project and she wanted to join as part of the crew. And then she's gone on to become a very important part of the crew, earning the nickname Godmother. And of course, after Yan Yan, there's a number of very lovely people who also joined the crew, like Anupa and Mimp, Jimena, Nachiken, and Wipke, and Jenny, and all the great people who are part of the crew today. And so soon after that, so that was number 5. So by webjam number 10 or 11, we really started to coalesce as a village. So that's creating a community, right? That's the theme of this piece. And at number 11, we were reflecting on the past 10 web jams. And at that point, we were thinking of wrapping up the experiment or winding down the experiment. And we found that there were people who were very passionate about this community and really wanted to keep us going. So that gave us energy and inspiration to continue the experiment on not only continue it, but keep the pace at a weekly basis. I think partially credit to Mark for insisting on that. And so here we are, 68 web jams later. So following that, we also thought of creating a website where we could coalesce as community. And so here you see a really important part of that is this Our Voices, which is like a blog function on the WednesdayWebJam.com website, where we do invite people from the community, such as Danny here back in April added a post to share their voices about their experiences or reflections on jams, or something that they just generally want to express and share with the community. And here we go, also creating moments together and capturing memories, just making silly faces and having fun, which we often do. And in addition to making things or capturing moments, we also experiment with trying to create a flavor or a feeling, or like different types of playfulness when we're together. So here our guest Lee that you see on the lower right photo with this elaborate kind of headpiece, that is called a wearable Tracy. Search it on the internet, you'll get really interesting results about Lee and what that's about. But so inspired by Lee, who wears one of these every day that she hand makes for reasons you can find out online if you, again, search Lee and wearable Tracy. We invited everybody who was joining the call to wear a hat. So her co-guest, Brandon, he wore this kind of Joker hat, and we all wore hats that day. And kind of that was part of the spirit of community and creating together for that jam. So, we also wanted to continue experimenting with ways of being together and different formats. So here is let me see if I can get this to work. So I think, okay, is this gonna work? Oh, no, this is not working. So this is a prototype promotion.
Better than radio, better than the show.
Okay, so this is a prototype promotion for a radio show format that I think particularly Pedro was very interested in trying out. So this is a prototype promo. I don't think it made it out to the interwebs, but this is just Pedro letting his sense of humor come through. So here we go.
Oh, it's your online learning platform for free. Oh, crikey, I might go and try that. Wednesday Web Jam radio show. It's better than radio.
All right. Gives you a little flavor of Pedro. So we, I think we tried that for a couple of web jams. So it's still something that we might keep experimenting with. But those were a couple of instances this spring. Okay, and by the way, folks, as we have descriptions to these different pieces, but some of them seem to overlap with some of the art. So pardon that, we're kind of work in progress and experimenting here. So part of the learning, and we thought this would be a little bit easier, and as it happens with many things, it turned out to be a little more complicated than what we bargained for. But moving right along, we have also celebrated birthdays and made things to celebrate birthdays together. So we've made, let's see if I can get closer here, things like paper cards, and of course had these celebrations with these cards here, and made cupcakes and cakes to celebrate birthdays. We also celebrated the Wednesday Web Jam birthday with a very beautiful cake made by Danny, who's here. Hi, Danny. We have the picture of your cake somewhere. We'll put it up in the gallery at some point because it is really gallery worthy. It was a gorgeous cake. Moving along, here's more experimentation with papers and ways to add texture to our online experiences. And also a picture here from from WebJam number 59 with our guest Arnold Conning, who shared a photo of his setup. And this also speaks to how being online has prompted people to get more creative. On one hand, of course, with AV equipment to make the audio and video quality a little bit better and more polished. But you can also see here how Arnold is using a lot of sticky notes on paper as part of the experience of interacting and communicating with others. And lastly, let's see, we do have one last stop. It's going to be over here. And we have to acknowledge just the lovely work of our a WW community member, Vika, who has, as participant, oops, let me close this, as somebody who's she'll participate in web jams, but she's just quietly doing this graphic recording and graphic summaries of the of different web jams. So here we've mounted a handful of recordings that she's made all the way back from like web jam number 26 to I think number 66 was one of the more recent ones that are represented here. So you can always jump into the gallery and get a closer look into what VK has has made for us, and just these memories, these wonderful summaries, these very playful and whimsical summaries of our times together. So I'm just going to release the screen here for a moment before we transition to the more interactive part of our time today. But I just wanted to get some reactions about anything that you've seen, any of the themes, any themes or any experiences that you want to highlight as part of this retrospective of like creating things together here in the WebJam community.
I especially enjoyed the time where we all were on our devices outside. And that was a really unique way to connect and fun.
Absolutely. Yeah, we have to do some more of those for sure.
Yeah, the
Mark is a big
mobile
fan.
versions. Yeah. Those were fun. And the first one we did, I think we did it twice, right? And the first one we did was really in the depths of the pandemic, and it was just nice to be able to see other people in a different environment. It was all like when we originally talked about it, it was like, let's go for a walk together. And when you can't really go for a walk with somebody outside your bubble, it was just nice to do that. Yeah, that was a good one, Luis. Manfred.
I think what's really striking to me is the parallels. In essence, what we see here is a fantastic evolution, a learning curve. When you think about the first couple of sessions when we kind of started out to build this, and today they are fine-tuned and really professional. I've seen similar evolutions in companies when they had to move from the traditional office environment into a virtual environment and a remote or a distributed work environment, and all the trepidations they had in the beginning, how catastrophic this is going to be and how difficult this is going to be, and how all kinds of challenges, and they have figured out actually things are pretty good, working pretty well. We are still learning, and we have created a very substantial working model in a remote or semi-remote or semi-distributed environment. It's in essence the same thing, and it will change. It really will change the way we are going to operate going forward.
Let's see, Federico has a hand up.
Yeah, I'm the new guy. And it's my first day. I mean, not my first day, but like my fifth day or fourth.
Uh-huh.
But only in 4 days, and after watching what you did, it's like I'm going to be very emotional in this. But I've been in the last WWJs since I mean 5 or 4, as you know. And this became like my weekly fuel, you know, my petrol, like I say, the British. So yeah, this makes me things go easier in my life, and what you just did, I mean, with this gallery, shows all the I will say the word, all the love that you put into this, all the good vibes, all the humanity, all of that. And I don't have, I mean, technical or you know, I haven't been before. But I want to say that and thank you for this, because this only reaffirms that the way that you do this, you know, it's not everyone does a gallery for their things, and we know how busy, I mean, the 20 of us are. I mean, for example, Mark and you, and I saw David, I know how busy we are. So really appreciate that. I mean, more than kudos, it's like I really appreciate so thank you. And yes, that has become my weekly fuel. It's like the moment of my professional fuel, because I have the
Nice.
other small girl around there. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, I also want to acknowledge Colin, who's here on the call. That I mean, you've co-created some really cool moments here in the past year, Colin. I don't know if you want to share any thoughts about favorite discovery or kind of like aha or anything that we've made together. See, your audio's off. Nope, can't hear you.
I'll disconnect. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I mean, Ezekiel, I don't think that really, I mean, thank you for that. I don't think singling me out is appropriate, really. There's been so many people that have participated in creating amazing moments. I've really appreciated working with, getting to know a couple of people behind the scenes, and certainly befriending various people. Yuen Yuen in particular, I've connected really well with. I've loved working with her. But there's definitely been some amazing connections made. I was thinking in this gallery of the preparation for each of these jams. And I'm not sure if people are aware of how much actually goes into it, and how much planning and you know, not only the time for holding the web jams, but the preparation beforehand, and the connecting, the planning, the things that fail. And in some way that's worthy of being represented visually. And the other thing was the obvious, the backstage. You know, I know you don't really capture visually many of the things that are happening backstage, but a very different feeling and sense about the backstage, which I think is worth perhaps keeping in mind, and maybe having a place for the backstage gallery even.
Yeah.
And then the one thing I wanted to mention were screenshots, which I'm sure screenshots are taken, you know, throughout the whole process, but it might be interesting, just like Fika had her own wall space, to have a gallery for all the screenshots that we're taking. Maybe you could request submissions. But yeah, I just want to say, personally, I've just loved this community and loved being part of it. And there's just so many amazingly diverse people. So thank you to you guys that keep the ball rolling.
Thank you, Colin. And thank you for that reflection, because often we've learned in the backstage, in that prep time, is when we learn so much about managing the time, what we can fit in, what we can do. And we think about, you know, hypotheses of like, well, is this going to be engaging or really meaningful for people? And then we test and learn, right? Both the crew and with the guest for that jam. And I think just about everybody who's been a guest has acknowledged that they learned a lot, be it in planning or facilitation, or like in a number of different dimensions. So yeah, thank you for the reflection, Colin, because I didn't have that top of mind, but that's definitely worth also like revisiting and examining.
And then of course also the social media dimension.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Sure.
There's a ton of work going on in the background just to keep us all excited and informed about what, you know, every week, right? There is a lot of work that goes on just to keep the weekly part up. And Colin, you're absolutely right. You touched on how much preparation and time it takes to just do one web jam. And then the crew, the volunteers in the background, some of whom are on the call here, are spending a fair amount of hours of their week helping to, you know, keep the lights on and keep the word going out through social media and through the emails and stuff like that. So it's but I you know, we've gotten to the point where it's we're able to keep it going, and this is pretty amazing looking. Another kind of retrospective. I just want to point out this gallery thing is really cool, right? Like, I've seen one of these before, and I was like, wow, that's way cool. And then Ezekiel showed it to me, you know, this morning, and I was like, are you kidding me? You guys did this? I'm just really interested, Anupa and Ezekiel, I think primarily you two put this together. First of all, where is the wine, okay, and the cheese, because I'm missing that. But secondly, how long did it take you to, like, tell us a little bit about the process here, because I think it's just really cool. And I'm actually interested, aside from the retrospective, which makes me feel nice and fuzzy and warm and everything, and I love you guys and I'm giving you a hug. But I'm really interested in this and how what we see as applications of this kind of simple, easy to access virtual reality. I guess that's what you would call it. I think Brett, you're the expert and be able to tell us whether that's true or not. But it's pretty cool. Like, how can we use this? So maybe start with Ezekiel and Anupa telling us a little bit about your process of getting this pulled together, because it's way cool.
Sure. We'll keep this brief because we also want to give opportunity for everybody to go into breakouts in pairs and have a quick discussion about that. So I'll say, Anupa, I think I had the just curiosity of like, well, what if we pull together these artifacts to just reflect about what we have co-created together, and then also kind of broaden that reflection to what is possible online, since I think hybrid work might stick around for a while. And I think we also learned that this virtual world open up opportunities to meet and connect with people. You know, I can connect with Colin in South Africa, Anupa is in India. Mark, you know, you're far away well, you're not that far comparatively, but you're in South Carolina. Danny's in Brazil. So it's just amazing that now we have this global community and these friendships, thanks to, you know, this medium that we have here, and kind of the unfortunate circumstances that sort of brought us together. But in the end, here we are, and we've unlocked new ways of being together and co-creating. So I just asked a question in our WhatsApp channel, and then it blew up because it just sparked something in most of the crew members, and everybody had something to say very quickly. Because so I was just wondering, hey, do we have any screenshots of cool things that we've done? And then this long list came up. So it was very evident within 5 minutes that, okay, yes, we should do this and pull this together. And the preparation has been in little pockets of time that each of us have had between work and deadlines of co-creating, of really putting images in a shared folder in our G Drive of different things that you know, crew members have found memorable or meaningful that they wanted to look back upon. And then I kind of had the main task of making a selection, because we couldn't have, you know, we didn't want to have like 80 things up on a wall today, because that would be overwhelming and too much. And Anupa also, you know, added some suggestions and some thoughts around, hey, well, let's include this or that, and why. And then of course, then there's the tech part, and Anupa, I'll throw you the ball for the technology that you've done the heavy lift on that for this time, and any other commentary that you want to add.
This is like my first time looking at a space like this. Since we've been doing Myra and Mural all throughout, I felt that, you know, this is a space that, you know, I wanted the experience to be a little bit more intimate, and something that people can actually feel and, you know, walk around. And I was inspired by this platform called Mozilla Hubs, which was my initial idea, but it needs a lot of more work, where, you know, people can co-create, they can talk. So it's actually meeting people online. So that was the main idea. So I looked at other options which were much more simpler like this, and this doesn't really take that much time, but that's what I thought. But then it does, because you need to add the visuals, add the text, kind of place them. So it's not that difficult, it's very much doable. So if anybody's looking at creating a space like this, I definitely would suggest this URL. It's called artsteps.com. And yeah, and that's how the ball got rolling. And Ezekiel and I, we were in conversation about how we would, do this. And since he already had a structure, it was really easy for us to kind of, create this quickly. And I hope you guys are enjoying it, and you would share more with us. So back to you, Ezekiel.
Thank you so much. Well, Mark, in the spirit of what Anupa just said about sharing, and in exploring Suzanne's question here in the chat, can we send everybody to a breakout of pairs or trios? And so what we're going to ask you to do is, I'm going to put a prompt here in the chat so you can just revisit that when you get to your breakout, is just share, discuss something that you have co-created, or something with which you wish to experiment in the virtual world. So some curiosity or hypotheses that you would like to experiment with. In addition to that, let me just find here we go. So in addition to having that discussion, we also welcome you, if you have digital files in your computer, to jump into this mural. And what you'll find in the mural is, I'll just share my screen here. Showing is better than telling. This mural has, you'll see, has a bunch of frames. So you can claim a frame, and you can drop an image there if you have an image of something that you want to share. And then just type in some sort of title, what it is, if it's made out of paper, or if it's a video or something else. And just a very brief description, 1 or 2 sentences, just to give that a little bit of context. So you have that as an additional way of sharing in your discussion in your breakout room. And by the way, the intent that Anupa and I had was to create this mural to then take a screenshot and mount that into the gallery, and keep the gallery as this living, well, it's not a document, but a living gallery where we continually add to and share both our journey in the web jam, but also the journey of the village, of the community, and what experiments and learnings and co-creations have you done online with this community, or inspired by the community, or elsewhere, that we can learn about. So Mark,
I'd just like to add one thing along with the title, medium, and description. If you could also add your name. So, when we put it on the gallery, then, we would have a image name to the image also. That's completely optional, but it would be nice.
Yeah, name and your headshot if you want to. That's an option. That's an additional option. All right, Mark, are we ready?
Yeah. How much time do we want to, or we just determine that later?
Let's give that 10 minutes.
Okay, perfect.
And we just need 1 or 2, in addition to both of us, 1 or 2 other volunteers who want to stay in the main room to have the discussion for.
Okay, well, I'll choose a couple of people to stay back, and awesome. Let's see. I will send everybody else to one of the rooms. Great.
I see people sharing on mural already.
Okay, we'll see you guys in about 10 minutes. Okay, I'm making you guys travel through hyperspace here.
I assume that our couple of friends here are the chosen ones.
The chosen ones, yes. And I think a few more are coming back. So
okay.
Yeah, cool. Just so we can have a quorum here for the. So we have Anupa, we have you, Christine, you're here. Okay, good. I think that's who we were.
So Christine, okay, Suzanne. Okay,
yeah.
There we go.
All right.
All right, so let's have a conversation. And Suzanne, since you shared that question in the chat, we'll turn it around back to you. Like, what has
One
Mark.
quick, technically, can somebody go into a room with Edgar? We just need somebody to go in there with him.
Yeah, sure. I can go in there.
Okay, Anupa, Edgar is in room 1. Okay, I'll send you. Come back here if you need, if he's not there.
Okay.
Okay, good. We're going.
Awesome. All right. So Suzanne, let's just kind of kick it off with you. Like, what tell us what has kept you going, and what sort of things have you co-created, if at all, or you're curious about co-creating in the virtual space?
Yeah, so a year ago, I had to relearn to do my job completely. So I'm a coach for teams and for leadership. And coaching sessions are very much about engaging with people, looking at small details, also watching how people move their feet sometimes. And suddenly we had to do that in 2D. So I did quite a bit of research there, actually, to find out how I can best engage in the virtual world. And I think there's a huge amount of opportunity still to explore. So your face is frozen to me, so I'm not sure if you can still hear me.
We can hear you.
Ah, perfect. Then I'll just continue, and you just need to say when I need to shut up. So one of my favorite things is really the digital online board. So I was already a big fan of whiteboards, but then still it feels more like being a teacher because the whiteboard is usually in front of the room and only one person stands in front of it. But doing this online, the whiteboard suddenly becomes a real co-creative space. So I used a lot of different mechanisms to co-create together. Not sure if that's an answer to your question, but
kind of. We can dig into that a little bit more, but let's hear from Christine. Like, what sort of co-creations or collaborative things have you found meaningful or interesting in the past year? Nope, we can't hear you. Okay. See, you're on mute.
Failing forward,
How
right?
was that?
There you
working
go.
now? Okay,
Yes.
sorry, selected a different microphone. Yeah, thanks for including me. I'm new here. This is my first, I've followed WWJ for a couple of months when I came across it, and I thought this would be an amazing session to see what you're up to and all the highlights. I host discussions a lot of the time through Lean In and other groups, especially around women in STEM. And I've found Mural to be incredibly helpful online. I just did a networking session last month. We had 200 attendees, and about 50 to 100 of them jumped in the Mural and put all their thoughts about the question prompts, and we wound up with this just amazing smorgasbord of amazing ideas. And it really, the goal of that was to help people connect and feel part of something, and it really did it. It was really great. So,
Thank you.
yeah, co-creation, ideas.
Yeah. That's what we also aim to do here, where we we always want more involvement from the participants when they join us, and then when we hear other stories that other people are doing this, we feel equally energized and happy about it. So that's so great.
Yeah. I will also
go ahead.
I want to point out this room is being live streamed to YouTube, unlike the
Yes.
other rooms.
Yes.
Correct. Yes.
Yep. Let's say that. So I think the use of paper is something that I found just very surprising last year. And even though Mark and I work together a lot, Mark, do you want to say a few words about using paper with So Mark has been doing some or did a training with a as a pro bono thing with a refugee camp in Africa, and you all resorted to using paper in this digital exchange. Can you say more about the choice of using paper, and I don't know, what did you all learn, or what came out of it?
Yeah, that's a really good question. You're reminding me of that experience, and I was like, oh yeah, that was really it was out of necessity, but the thing that I think we noticed was that when you're making a connection with other people, we were actually having to meet them where they were, right? Like maybe not literally, but like in a very serious way, right? So this was a refugee camp, one of the world's largest ones in Kakuma in northern Kenya, and we were helping this small organization that runs a vocational center to train them on design thinking, train some trainers who would then, the idea is they're starting to apply that in the camp to some of the problems that they have. But actually also the initial reason was to give them skills that they could have on their CV so that they could go to university, right? So these people want to lift themselves out of the terrible situation that they're in. As we started planning this, we're like, well, how are we going to make this work, right? Like, how are we going to, are you going to huddle around 2 laptops or 3 laptops? So we ended up, getting they bought a large screen TV. We helped fund that. But even then, we're up on the TV doing our presentations, but when they're doing the work, how are we going to do that? So we started to just use props and hold things up to the camera. I don't know if you can see this.
Right in front of you. Yeah, like that.
Yeah. So we were explaining the double diamond. We would just literally do this like what I'm doing right now, and showing them that they can use whatever materials that they have at hand. And it was amazing because once we we had our slide stuff that we typically use, but we realized pretty quickly that that's not the way to show them how they can do it. So we had to resort to holding up, paper to folks and showing them, we have sort of a small whiteboard, and we were using that and drawing on the small whiteboard. You can do this, right? So that was I think part of what we learned. But the other part of it, I think, is we were watching them through a camera as they were doing the activities, and you could see that this is a very, it's not only a team sport, but it's a very physical sport, right? And you miss that when you're doing the virtual stuff in Miro. Yeah, it approximates it, and actually there's lots of, maybe not lots, but there are several really powerful advantages to doing it. Obviously, everything is recorded and captured. You don't have to deal with all of that stuff as a facilitator, but it was pretty amazing to see the physical movement. I'm actually we haven't been back into a physical space yet, but that's going to happen really soon. And I think our time's up. So here I go talking again. But that was cool. Sorry, long answer to your short question.
Are we closing the breakouts?
Should we do that?
Yes.
Okay, I'll do that. I have the power of the button. 60 seconds and I'll be back.
But I think that speaks to, it's not to so much like harp or obsess on paper, but I think it's just ways of how can we use materials that are relatable to the person on the other side of the screen.
Yeah.
So we can do stuff together. And
yeah.
I think maybe that also speaks to some of the problem solving you'll be doing, Suzanne, in getting people to do stuff together, and how do we make the leap across the screen, across time and space, to have the shared experiences. I don't know if you have a particular moment or experiment or thing that you did that was very surprising or enlightening for you.
So something I really found out is that people are really hungry for a meaningful interaction. So people have become much more aware that you can design your interaction. It's not just something that happens when you walk into a meeting room. You can think about it. What do you do beforehand? With what energy level do you want to come in? So I noticed that people are much more willing to do the weird stuff like improv or mindfulness exercises just before you go into a meeting. So I actually really enjoy this part of online working, where it's really about finding different ways to connect. And indeed, sometimes you use paper and sometimes you use digital means. It's a nice mixture.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So we just have 2-3 minutes to do some quick popcorn feedback before we need to wrap up our session for today. Anybody wants to share anything that they heard from somebody else, or anything that they shared in the breakout that, again, was some experience that was very surprising or enlightening for you in the past year, in the virtual space, of course?
Well, I'm going to share. I was in my breakout room with David, and I'm trying to see if he's still here. And we discovered that both of us are very, we are newies, like he said, in the web jam space. Today is his own very first time coming. And this is like my second, but we were able to relate to each other like, oh, wow, this is so possible, and for me, just seeing the gallery and the documentation of growth, of not knowing what is this, just hearing Steve say, what does that mean? That we are live streaming, to the place where we're now like, that's like, a done deal. And that says that growth is part of being human, and not to shy away from growth and starting from somewhere. And so David and I, just realized that, hey, just jump right in, just jump in, just start something and stay there. So that was good. So it was good meeting David from, is it Colombia? Is that where you're from, David?
Hi, everybody. Yes, I'm from South America. Well, it's my first time here at the group jam, and I'm very happy to meet you all guys. You look like very cool, and the dynamic from the group is very amazing, because the psychology and the methods and the dynamics make the ways of acting and relating with everybody. It's very really amazing when you have these concepts of how to create good feelings with the same way of creating. Yes. Nice to meet you all. And yes, I was talking with Augusta here, and that the frames and the photos, and just knowing how the group functions. It's really great to be here with you at this moment. And I knew this group because I was reading the book of Focus of Daniel Goleman, and I just found the publicity here, and well, I'm a psychologist. Let me see how this could functions with amazing people here. So
yeah.
Just knowing how this functions here. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for
Thank you so much. Yep, thank you very much. So we need to wind up. We're gonna open up we're gonna wrap up the formal session and then open up the backstage. So we'll turn off the YouTube recording and just go backstage for anybody who wants to linger around a few more minutes and share some thoughts and have some more conversation. But before we go, I just have a couple of things I need to say. But before I say that, I'm gonna go over to Mark in just a moment. So we're for the first time since it's vacation time, at least in the Northern Hemisphere, we're going to take off a couple of weeks, which is a first for us. We're going to go fishing for a couple of weeks. And then we are returning in August for a session about an empathy tent. Mark, can you tell us about that?
Yes, we're going to pull that together. The idea of an empathy tent is something that that I encountered when I was on my travels before COVID, and actually have a picture of it here if I can find it and put it as my background. The empathy tent is the idea of it's a movement, it's an organization very much like Wednesday Web Jam, volunteer run. And the idea is that you have a tent in a place, and you have two seats, you have a listener, and you have somebody who wants somebody to listen to them. And we're going to take that model and do it in Wednesday Web Jam and see how it works. So lots of tension as to what that's actually going to look like, but expect it to be similar to the idea that you're going to have listeners, and then you're going to have people who want to be listened to. And we'll build some empathy, and we'll see how that works. It's really going to be super powerful. So looking forward to it.
Yes. And finally, in closing, just want to acknowledge this lovely groups of humans who are part of the Wednesday Web Jam crew. I think we have a couple of people missing there that we whose headshots we need to get. But of course, Mark and Anupa, myself, as long as everybody else that you see on this slide. Finally, if you check on the Zoom chat box, I posted a long prompt, sorry about that, that has the links to where you can follow us on social media. You can visit the website if you want to be on the Wednesday Web Jam mailing list, so you can just get the announcements of upcoming jams. We don't spam you. All we do is just announce what's upcoming. At the very end of that, there's also a little link to buy us coffee. If you find any value today or in this community, if you want to donate to help us cover expenses, Zoom accounts and MailChimp accounts and so forth, it really helps to keep the lights on. And with that, we thank you all